All right. Um, I vaguely recall telling you the story recently, but I'll tell it again anyway. My wife had this idea, this is 10 years, 15 years ago, that we should travel around the world and we should go to various Chabad houses. And we would stay at the Chabad houses and we would speak. I would play guitar a little bit and I would speak, and my wife would speak. And that would sort of pay them, for the time we were there. And, they would provide us for like uh, a place to sleep, a place to eat, and we would travel around and look around and see things. Anyway, so we went to Amsterdam. Amsterdam at that time there was no Chabad house there, but my wife wanted to see the Van Gogh museum, pictures of Van Gogh. Now, okay, anyway, so I was interested in going there, not at all, to tell you the truth, but we went. So, but what I was interested in was spreading out Judaism a little bit, just so. Okay, I'll make a long story very short. We came back on the coming back trip. It was in the daytime. When we're in the plane in the daytime, so I take out tefillin, and the trip is going to Israel, so there must be Jews on, some Jews at least sitting on it. So I take out my tefillin and I go down the aisle and I ask people if they're Jewish and if they would like to put on tefillin. So in this case, it was not very difficult at all because you could easily tell who was a Jew. How could you tell who's a Jew? And the Dutch people, they don't move around that much. They don't move around that much. They just sort of sit, like stoically, and they, once in a while look down at their newspaper, or sometimes they'll turn to their friend and talk to them or something like that. But they just sit there. And the Jews, especially Israelis, but Jews in general, they never stop moving. It's a thing that Jews, they're just always moving. They're restless. Jews are restless people. That's what they are. They're moving. They're always talking. They're thinking that this is Jewish people. So all I had to do is look at and see whatever moved. So I zeroed in, asked them if they wanted to put on the film. So a couple of people put on. A couple of people they said no. I saw three Israelis sitting one next to the other. How do I know those Israelis? Because there were various degrees of, like, how do you say, degradation? I don't know how you call it. I heard them, first of all, as I got closer, I heard one of them speaking Hebrew. And I saw they were all speaking together. The first one, he had like a couple of earrings, two earrings, and a little tattoo, and his hair was like, he had a little spot of like blue in his hair. The one sitting next to him, he had like, five or six earrings, like one in his eyebrow, one in his nose, and he had like tattoos, a couple of tattoos on his neck, on his this and that, and his hair was dyed like, blue and green, patches, a couple of stripes, whatever. And the third guy he was sitting next to the window, he had like this mohawk hairdo, and he had earrings like in every available piercings, every available place he had earrings, and he had tattoos all over himself. So anyway, so I asked the first guy, you Rotzel Lanech tefillin, want to put on tefillin? They were like in the second row. This is after the separation where the safety door is. So there was the guy sitting on the first, and then so I asked the people sitting in front of were non-Jews. So I asked the first one, the one that had just one spot of discoloration, blue on his hair, want to put on tefillin. So he looked at me like I was offering him to like a dead cat or something like that. Like, who puts on? Just like disgust. Disgust. I mean, in Israel, the government, the state of Israel was based on that nothing is holy, and these ideas of holy, that's just holding us back. Progress is, leaving the Torah, leaving the anyway. So he was like in that mindset. So I asked the second guy if he was like reading a newspaper, that he had like two colors of hair and a few more piercings. I said, would you like to put on tefillin? So he's reading his newspaper like this, and he goes, he's asleep. So I asked the third guy, he's near the window, and the plane is a little bit noisy. So I asked from the sound of the engines, whatever. So I asked him if he wants to put on tefillin. So he turns to me. He's got this like mohawk hairdo and it's dyed like pink and yellow and green and blue, all these piercings. And so he looks at me and says, What? What? He couldn't hear me. What? So the first guy looks at me like I see he's just about to say, it's just like at the edge of his lips, will you go away? He was just about to say it. It's like, The second guy, he's. So I said to the third guy, would you like to put on tefillin? The third one says, tefillin? Sure, betach. He stands up. So the first guy, he's there. He takes a paper. He looks into his newspaper. The second guy who was asleep, he goes, opens up one eye. He's looking. His friend is a traitor. As traitor, he went over to the other side. So this third guy, he puts on tefillin. Right? He puts on tefillin. He says Shema Yisrael, yells it out. Meanwhile, sitting in front of them, the row in front, with these three Dutch people, right? And they were well-dressed people. Two men and a woman. The man sitting in the middle, as all of a sudden I saw he's like looking back, and he's looking back, and he's trying to figure out. So at first I thought, maybe we're disturbing him or something. No, but I saw he was like sort of interested. So I said, I spoke in English to him. Do you speak English? Yes. Do you want to know what they're doing? He said, yes. So I said, well, I'll wait, just finish. I'll take this off, the tefillin. And he took off the tefillin, and I went around to him. I said, hello, what's your name? His name was like Lars or something. So I said, hello, my name is Tuvia. I said, what we're doing, these Jews, what they're doing a commandment. These Jews have been doing this for over 3,000 years. And this commandment is, there's two boxes, there's two commandments, and there's 4 Torah paragraphs written on parchments inside of these black boxes. But the main one is, it says that God is one. So you know what that means, Lars? He said, no, I don't know what it means. So I said, well, God is one means that there's nothing except for God. God creates everybody. He creates everything. Everything there is a creation of God. He creates me, he creates you, he creates us all, and he creates us from love. And what God wants is that we should just do what he wants. And so I said, the non-Jews have 7 Noahide commandments. I gave him like a little lecture, which was no more than 20 seconds or something like that. All of a sudden, this guy, he stands up, and he raises his hand, and he yells out at the top of his lungs, and he said, this rabbi is right. And I want to apologize for what our people have done to his people. We have taken a man and said that he is God, and we have tried to negate the holy commandments. Really yelled it out. And he straightened his tie and he sat down. Now, I don't know, maybe this guy does this like every day at 2:00, he stands up and screams out. I don't think so. I think so. Something aroused inside of him, and he was right what he said. The fact is, he was right. So from this, I realized that if you just try to do good and you don't reckon with all of the doubts and the impotence and the whatever it is, the worries and things, that you just do good, in my case, it was asking people to put on tefillin, that it has a big effect. And that's basically how it's going to have an effect on the non-Jews in the future, that all mankind will realize the truth of the God of Israel, that he's creating everybody and that he wants everyone in the world to do his will. The Jewish people, his will, the 613 commandments and all the commandments of the rabbis. And the non-Jews are what's called the 7 Noahide commandments. And 7 Noahide commandments are all basically prohibitions. Don't kill, but there's also, they say 30 positive things. Honor your parents, to be honest, to love God, etc. In any case, it's going to happen soon. And here's an example, a microcosm of how it did sort of happen in a small way. Have a good day with Mashiach now. God bless you all, and see you all on Sunday. Meanwhile, learn the songs that we learned. We have 2 songs this week and 2 songs before. It's altogether 6 songs I put up. Learn the songs. You will be tested.